says, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." I suppose we all thought that, one way or another.
Imagine, if you will, a time when the world was engulfed in the flames of war, a time when nations spared no expense in the pursuit of victory. It was amidst this chaos that J. Robert Oppenheimer and his team embarked on a mission that would forever alter the course of humanity. But what was the price tag on such a monumental endeavor? Well, my friends, the numbers are staggering. The Manhattan Project, as it was called, wasn't just an expensive undertaking, it was a financial behemoth, gobbling up resources at an unprecedented rate. Let's break it down, shall we? The US government, in its quest for the ultimate weapon, poured billions of dollars into this project. To put it into perspective, the total cost of the Manhattan Project is estimated to have been around $2 billion at the time. And remember, this was in the 1940s. When you factor in inflation, the cost of the Manhattan Project balloons to an astronomical figure. Some estimates put it at over $30 billion in today's money. To put it into perspective, this consumed nearly 2% of the entire US budget during the war years. But how did this weapon of destruction even get funded? It had to get overwhelming support from Congress, right? Well, kind of. Here's Katie Edmondson from the New York Times, who focuses on federal spending, breaking it all down.
It turns out that when Congress voted to fund the bomb, there was no debate and no discussion. Only 7 lawmakers in the entire Congress had any idea that they were approving $800 million, the equivalent of $13.6 billion today, to create a weapon of mass destruction that would soon kill and maim more than 200,000 people, ushering in the atomic age.
She also learned from available records that Roosevelt officials had been siphoning money for the project from funds Congress appropriated for the Army Corps of Engineers. But where was the actual bill that Congress approved willingly, or not? Well, here's Katie Edmondson breaking down the final piece to the puzzle.
Only one question remained. Where exactly in the budget had the administration hidden the money for the bomb? Finding a bill that passed 8 decades ago is harder than you might think. But after a number of creative searches, I pulled up a record of a Senate hearing examining the bill. Attached was a report breaking down the legislation. I paged through, stopped, and smiled when I saw it. There it was, the innocuous phrase that hid an $800 million secret: expediting production.
The Manhattan Project involved the construction of several major facilities across the United States, including research laboratories, uranium enrichment plants, and plutonium production reactors. The costs of designing, building, and operating these facilities were significant. So here's Alex Wellerstein's breakdown of the cost. Oak Ridge, K25, Y12, and S50. These were special plants where scientists worked to make a special type of material called uranium, better for making the atomic bomb. Hanford. This was a big factory where they made another special material called plutonium, which was also important. Special operating materials. This is just a fancy way of saying all the important stuff they needed for the whole project, most of which was uranium, but also highly refined graphite and fluorine. Los Alamos. This was the lab largely depicted in the Oppenheimer film, where the scientists figured out how to design and make the atomic bomb. There was definitely other cost, but another way to look at this is to say that we usually talk about the atomic bomb as a project focused on scientific research. But one could arguably say that it was more a project of industrial production instead. Oppenheimer, in testimony before Congress in 1945, went so far as to phrase it this way: "If it had not been for scientists, there would have been no atomic bomb. But if there had been only scientists, there also would be no atomic bomb." This is actually a very important point, and one which shines light onto a lot of other questions regarding nuclear weapons. For example, one of the questions that people ask me again and again is how close the Germans were to getting an atomic bomb. The answer is, more or less, not very close at all. Why not? Because even if their scientific understanding was not too far away, which it was not, even though they were wrong about several things and behind on several others, they never came close to the stage that would be necessary to turn it into an industrial production program, as opposed to just a laboratory understanding. That sheer fact is much more important than whether Heisenberg fully understood the nature of chain reactions or anything like that. But amidst all these mind-boggling numbers, let's not lose sight of the true cost of the nuclear bomb. It wasn't just the billions of dollars spent or the salaries paid to the scientists and engineers. It was the human toll, the lives lost, and the moral quandaries faced. For every dollar spent, there was a moral reckoning, a soul-searching that echoed through the corridors of power.